Welcome to Fortune Forecast. I am Daisy, your hostess, and we are in my book playlist where we are going through the book titled The Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier, and it was published in 1926. It is in the public domain. Are you new to my channel? Glad you found me. Welcome. And to our Fortune community, welcome back. Let's get right into this next chapter because with the secrets, we're going to learn the laws. The title of the chapter is The Law of Supply. A quote by Walter Malone. They do me wrong who say I come no more when once I knock and fail to find you in. For every day I stand outside your door and bid you wake and rise to fight and win. Wail not for precious chances passed away. Weep not for golden ages on the wane. Each night I burn the records of the day. At sunrise, every soul is born again. Have you ever run a race or worked at utmost capacity for a protracted period or swum a great distance? Remember how soon after starting you began to feel tired. Remember how before you had gone any great distance, you thought you had reached your limit? But remember too, how when you kept on going, you got your second wind. Your tiredness vanished, your muscles throbbed with energy, you felt literally charged with speed and endurance. Stored in every human being are great reserves of energy, of which the average individual knows nothing. Most people are like a man who drives a car in low gear, not knowing that by the simple shift of a lever, he can set it in high and not merely speed up the car, but do it with far less expenditure of power. The law of the universe is the law of supply. You see it on every hand. Nature is lavish in everything she does. Look at the heavens at night. There are millions of stars there, millions of worlds, millions of suns among them. Surely there is no lack of wealth or profusion in the mind that could image all of these. No place for limitation there. Look at the vegetation in the country round about you. Nature supplies all that the shrubs or trees may need for their growth and sustenance. Look at the lower forms of animal life, the birds and the wild animals, the reptiles and the insects, the fish in the sea. Nature supplies them bountifully with everything they need. They have but to help themselves to what she holds out to them with such lavish hand. Look at all the natural resources of the world, coal and iron and oil and all metals. There is plenty for everyone. We hear a lot about the exhaustion of our resources of coal and oil, but there is available coal enough to last mankind for thousands of years. There are vast oil fields practically untouched, probably others bigger still yet we be discovered. And when all these are exhausted, the extraction of oil from shales will keep the world supplied for countless more years. There is abundance for everyone, but just as you must strain and labor to reach the resources of your second wind, just so you must strive before you can make manifest the law of supply in nature. The world belongs to you. It is your estate. It owes you not merely a living, but everything of good you may desire. You've got to demand these things of it, though. You've got to fear naught, dread naught, stop at naught. You've got to have the faith of a Columbus crossing an unknown sea, holding a mutinous crew to the task long after they have ceased to believe in themselves or in him, and giving to the world a new hemisphere. You've got to have the faith of a Washington, defeated, discredited, almost wholly deserted by his followers, yet holding steadfast in spite of all, and giving to America a new liberty. You've got to dominate, not to cringe. You've got to make the application of the law of supply. Consider the lilies, how they grow. The flowers, the birds, all of creation are incessantly active. The trees and flowers in their growth, the birds and wild creatures in building their nests and finding sustenance, are always working, but never worrying. Your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things, and all these things shall be added unto you. If all would agree to give up worrying, to be industrious, but never anxious about the outcome, it would mean the beginning of a new era in human progress, an age of liberty, of freedom from bondage. Jesus set forth the universal law of supply when he said, "Therefore I say unto you, be not anxious for the morrow, what ye shall eat, or wherewithal ye shall be clothed. But seek first the kingdom of God, and all those things shall be added unto you." What is this kingdom of God? Jesus tells us the kingdom of God is within you. It is the Father within you, to which he so frequently referred. It is mind, your part of universal mind. Seek first the kingdom of God. Seek first an understanding of this power within you. Learn to contact with it, to use it, and all those things shall be added unto you. All riches have their origin in mind. Wealth is in ideas, not money. Money is merely the material medium of exchange for ideas. The paper money in your pockets is in itself worth no more than so many Russian rubles. It is the idea behind it that gives it value. Factory buildings, machinery, materials are in themselves worthless without a manufacturing or a selling idea behind them. So often you see a factory fall to pieces, the machinery rust away after the idea behind them gave out. Factories, machines are simply the tools of trade. It is the idea behind them that makes them go. So don't go out seeking of wealth. Look within you for ideas. The kingdom of God is within you. Use it purposefully. Use it to think constructively. Don't say you're thinking when all you're doing is exercising your faculty of memory. As Dumont says in The Mastermind, they are simply allowing the stream of memory to flow through their field of consciousness, while the ego stands on the banks and idly watches the passing waters of memory flow by. They call this thinking, while in reality, there is no process of thought underway. They are like the old mountaineer sitting in the shade alongside his cabin. Asked what he did to pass the long hours away, he said, "Well, sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit." Dumont goes on to say, in quoting another writer, "When I use the word thinking, I mean thinking with a purpose, with an end in view. Thinking to solve a problem. I mean the kind of thinking that is forced on us when we are deciding a course to pursue, on a life work to take up perhaps. The kind of thinking that was forced upon us in our younger days when we had to find a solution to a problem in mathematics, or when we tackled psychology in college. I do not mean thinking in snatches or holding petty opinions on this subject and on that. I mean thought on significant questions which lie outside the bounds of your narrow personal welfare. This is the kind of thinking which is now so rare, so sadly needed. The kingdom of God is in the kingdom of thought, of achievement, of health, of happiness and prosperity. I came that ye might have life and have it more abundantly. But you have to go to seek it. But you have to do more than ponder. You have got to think constructively, to seek how you may discover new worlds, new methods, new needs. The greatest discoveries, you know, have arisen out of things which everybody had seen, but only one man had noticed. The biggest fortunes have been made out of the opportunities which many men had, but only one man grasped. Why is it that so many millions of men and women go through life in poverty and misery, in sickness and despair? Why? Primarily because they make a reality of poverty through their fear of it. They visualize poverty, misery, and disease, and thus bring them into being. And secondly, they cannot demonstrate the law of supply for the same reason that so many millions cannot solve the first problem in algebra. The solution is simple, but they have never been shown the method. They do not understand the law. The essence of this law is that you must think abundance, see abundance, believe abundance. Let no thought of limitation enter your mind. There is no lawful desire of yours for which, as far as mind is concerned, there is not abundant satisfaction. And if you can visualize it in mind, you can realize it in your daily world. Blessed is the man whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Don't worry. Don't doubt. Don't dig up the seeds of prosperity and success to see whether they have been sprouted. Have faith. Nourish your seeds with renewed desire. Keep before your mind's eye the picture of the thing you want. Believe in it, no matter if you seem to be in the clutch of misfortune, no matter if the future looks black and dreary. Forget your fears. Realize that the future is of your own making. There is no power that you can keep down but yourself. Set your goal. Forget the obstacles between. Forget the difficulties in the way. Keep only the goal before your mind's eye, and you will win it. Judge Troward, in his Edinburgh lectures on mental science, shows the way. The initial step, then, consists in determining to picture the universal mind as the ideal of all we could wish it to be, both to ourselves and to others, together with the endeavor to reproduce this ideal, however imperfectly, in our own life. And this step having been taken, we can then cheerfully look upon it as our ever-present friend, providing all good, guarding from all danger, and guiding us with all counsel. Similarly, if we think of it as a great power devoted to supplying all our needs, we shall impress this character also upon it, and by the law of subjective mind, it will proceed to enact the part of that special providence which we have credited with being. Beyond general care of our concerns, we would draw to ourselves some particular benefit. The same rule holds good of impressing our desire upon the universal subjective mind. And thus the deepest problems of philosophy bring us back to the old statement of the law. Ask, and ye shall receive. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. This is the summing up of the natural law of the relation between us and the divine mind. It is thus no vain boast that mental science can enable us to make our lives what we will. And to this law, there is no limit. What it can do for us today, it can do tomorrow. And through all that procession of tomorrows that loses itself in the dim vistas of eternity. Belief in limitation is the one and only thing that causes limitation, because we thus impress limitation upon the creative principle, and in proportion as we lay that belief aside, our boundaries will expand, and increasing life and more abundant blessing will be ours. You are not working for some merely for the pittance they pay you. You are part of the great scheme of things, and what you do has its bearing on the ultimate result. That being the case, you are working for Universal Mind, and Universal Mind is the most generous paymaster there is. Just remember that you can look to it for all good things. Supply is where you are and what you need. Do you want a situation? Close your eyes and realize that somewhere is the position for which you, of all people, are best fitted, and which is best fitted to your ability. The position where you can do the utmost of good, and where life, in turn, offers the most to you. Realize that Universal Mind knows exactly where this position is, and that through your subconscious mind, you too can know it. Realize that this is your position, that it needs you, that it belongs to you, that it is right for you to have it, that you are entitled to it. Hold this thought in mind every night for just a moment. Then go to sleep knowing that your subconscious mind has the necessary information as to where this position is and how to get in touch with it. Mind you, not will have, but has. The earnest realization of this will bring that position to you and you to it, as surely as the morrow will bring the sun. Make the law of supply operative, and you find that the things you seek are seeking you. Get firmly fixed in your own mind the definite conviction that you can do anything you greatly want to do. There is no such thing as lack of opportunity. There is no such thing as only one opportunity. You are subject with a law of boundless and perpetual opportunity, and you can enforce that law in your behalf just as widely as you need. Opportunity is infinite and ever present. Burton Bradley has it well expressed in his poem on opportunity. For the best verse hasn't been rhymed yet. The best house hasn't been planned. The highest peak hasn't been climbed yet. The mightiest rivers aren't spanned. Don't worry and fret, faint-hearted. The chances have just begun. For the best jobs haven't been started. The best work hasn't been done. Nothing stands in the way of a will which wants, an intelligence which knows. The great thing is to start. Begin your work, says Osinius. To begin is to complete the first half. The second half remains. Begin again, and the work is done. It matters not how small or unimportant your task may seem to be. It may loom bigger in Universal Mind than that of your neighbor, whose position is so much greater in the eyes of the world. Do it well, and the Universal Mind will work with you. But don't feel limited to any one job or any one line of work. Man was given dominion over all the earth. And God said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. All of energy, all of power, all that can exercise any influence over your life is in your hands through the power of thought. God, good, is the only power there is. Your mind is the part of his mind. He is the Father in you that doeth the works. So don't put any limit upon his power by trying to limit your capabilities. You are not in bondage to anything. All your hopes and dreams can come true. Were you not given dominion over all the earth? And can anyone else take this dominion from you? All the mysterious psychic powers about which you hear so much today are perfectly natural. I have them. You have them. They only await the time when they shall be allowed to assert their vigor and prove themselves your faithful servitors. Be not afraid. Claim your inheritance. The universal mind that supplies all wisdom and power is your mind. And to the extent that you are governed by your understanding of its infinite law of supply, you will be able to demonstrate plenty according to your faith. Be it unto you. Analyze most of the great American fortunes of past generation, says Advertising and Selling Fortnightly, and you will find that they were founded on great faiths. One man's faith was in oil, another's in land, another's in minerals. The fortunes that are being built today are just as surely being built on great faiths, but there is this difference. The emphasis of the faith has been shifted. Today it takes faith in a product or an opportunity, as it always did, but it takes faith in the public in addition. Those who have the greatest faith in the public, the kind of faith possessed by Henry Ford and H.J. Heinz, and make that faith articulate, build the biggest fortunes. Wanted. There is one question that bothers many a man. Should he stick to the job he has or cast about at once for a better one? The answer depends entirely upon what you are striving for. The first thing is to set your goal. What is it you want? A profession? A political appointment? An important executive position? A business of your own? Every position should yield you 3 things. 1. Reasonable pay for the present. 2. Knowledge, training, or experience that will be worth money to you in the future. 3. Prestige or acquaintances that will be of assistance to you in attaining your goal. Judge every opening by those 3 standards, but don't overlook chances for valuable training merely because the pay is small. Though it is a pretty safe rule that the concern with up-to-the-minute methods that it would profit you to learn also pays up-to-the-minute salaries. Hold each job long enough to get from it every speck of information there is in it. Hold it long enough to learn the job ahead. Then, if there seems no likelihood of a vacancy soon in that job ahead, find one that corresponds to it somewhere else. Progress. Keep going ahead. Don't be satisfied merely because your salary is being boosted occasionally. Learn something every day. When you reach the point in your work that you are no longer adding to your store of knowledge or abilities, you are going backward, and it's time for you to move. Move upward in the organization you are with if you can, but move. Your actual salary is of slight importance compared with the knowledge and ability you add to your mind. Given a full storehouse there, the salary or the riches will speedily follow. But the biggest salary won't do you much good for long unless you've got the knowledge inside you to back it up. It's like a girl picking for her husband. She can pick one with a lot of money and no brains, or she can pick one with no money but a lot of ability. In the former case, she'll have a high time for a little while, ending in a divorce court or in her having a worthless young rounder on her hands and no money to pay the bills. In the other, the start will be hard, but she is likely to end up with a happy home she has helped to build, an earnest, hardworking husband who has arrived, and happiness. Money ought to be a consideration in marriage, but never the consideration. Of course, it's an easy matter to pick a man with neither money nor brains. But when it's a choice of money or brains, take the brains every time. Possessions are of slight importance compared to mind. Given the inquiring, alert type of mind, you can get any amount of possessions. But the possessions without the mind are nothing. 9 times out of 10, the best thing that can happen to any young couple is to have to start out with little or nothing and work out their salvation together. What is it you want most from life? Is it riches? Picture yourself with all the riches you could use, with all the abundance that nature holds out with such lavish hand everywhere. What would you do with it? Daydream for a while. Believe that you have that abundance now. Practice being rich in your own mind. See yourself driving that expensive car you have always longed for, living in the sort of house you have often pictured, well-dressed, surrounded by everything to make life worthwhile. Picture yourself spending this money that is yours, lavishly, without a worry as to where more is coming from, knowing that there is no limit to the riches of mind. Picture yourself doing all those things you would like to do, living the life you would like to live, providing for your loved ones as you would like to see them provided for. See all this in your mind's eye. Believe it to be true for the moment. Know that it will all be true in the not very distant future. Get from it all the pleasure and enjoyment you can. It is the first step in making your dreams come true. You are creating the model in mind. And if you don't allow fear or worry to tear it down, mind will recreate that model for you in your everyday life. All that the Father hath is yours, says Jesus. And a single glance of the heavens and the earth will show you that He has all riches in abundance. Reach out mentally and appropriate to yourself some of these good gifts. You've got to do it mentally before you can enjoy it physically. 'Tis mind that makes the body rich, as Shakespeare tells us. See the things that you want as already yours. Know that they will come to you at need. Then let them come. Don't fret and worry about them. Don't think about your lack of them. Think of them as yours, as belonging to you, as already in your possession. Look upon money as water that runs the mill of your mind. You are constantly grinding out ideas that the world needs. Your thoughts, your plans are necessary to the great scheme of things. Money provides the power, but it needs you. It needs your ideas before it can be of any use to the world. The Falls of Niagara would be of no use without the power plants that lined the banks. The falls need these plants to turn their power to account. In the same way, money needs your ideas to become of use to the world. So instead of thinking that you need money, realize that money needs you. Money is just so much wasted energy without work to do. Your ideas, provide the outlet for it, the means by which money can do things. Develop your ideas, secure in the knowledge that money is always looking for such an outlet. When the ideas are perfected, money will gravitate your way without conscious effort on your part, if only you don't dam up the channels with doubts and fears. First, have something good, then advertise, says Horace Greeley. First, have something that the world needs, even if it be only faithful, interested service. Then open up your channels of desire, and dollars will flow to you. And remember that the more you have to offer, the more of riches will flow to you. Dollars are of no value except as they are used. You have seen the rich attacked time and again in newspapers and magazines. You have read numberless articles and editorials against them. You have read agitators declaim against them by the hour. But have you ever heard one of them say a single word against the richest man of them all? Henry Ford? I haven't. And why? Because Henry Ford's idea of money is that it is something to be used, something to provide more jobs, something to bring more comfort, more enjoyment into an increasingly greater number of lives. That is why money flows to him so freely. That is why he gets so much out of life. And that is how you, too, can get in touch with your infinite supply. Realize that it is not money you have to seek, but a way to use money for the world's advantage. Find the need. Look at everything with the question, how could that be improved? To what new uses could this be put? Then set about supplying that need in the absolute confidence that when you have found the way, money will flow freely to and through you. Do your part, and you can confidently look to Universal Mind to provide the means. Get firmly in mind the definite conviction that you can do anything right that you may wish to do. Then set your goal and let everything you do, all your work, all your study, all your associations be a step towards that goal. To quote Burton Braley again, if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, work day and night for it, give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it, if only desire of it makes you quite mad enough never to tire of it, makes you hold all other things tawdry and cheap for it, if life seems all empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and you dream is about it, if gladly you'll sweat for it, fret for it, plan for it, lose all your terror of God or man for it, if you'll simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famished and gaunt, nor sickness nor pain of body or brain can turn you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, you'll get it. And this is the end of Chapter 8 in Volume 3. Make sure to hit that like button, share this channel with your friends if you like it, and also subscribe to the channel. Head on over to the next video where I will be there with Volume 4, Chapter 9, The Formula of Success.